Hello, friends. Welcome to Stand Up, and welcome to your week. It is June 15th, and I have no guest today because I had a very busy weekend. A lot going on. I continue to move. I'm in transition, moving, but I do have your headlines and a clip show for you from the weekend. A lot happened over the weekend, a lot of excitement in the world of sports, of course, and I'll get to everything in just a moment. Just want to thank you for being here and for being you. I hope to see you at our Thursday night hangout this week, and I can't do the show without your paid subscription. So sign up now, patreon.com/Pete Dominic. This is an ad-free show, so I hope that you have a paid subscription. If you don't, sign up now, and let's get to the headlines and your clips from the weekend. Wild weekend in sports. The United States kicking off the World Cup kicking off with a whole bunch of teams obviously competing, but the U.S. with a very exciting win on Friday night, and then on Saturday night, the New York Knicks won, and that was pretty amazing. Even if you don't watch basketball, I think a lot of people were rooting for the Knicks, or so it seemed. And looks like there might be some kind of an Iran deal, and it doesn't look good. They took Trump's name off the Kennedy Center, and they tried to have the UFC fight for Gasolini's 80th birthday, and let's just say it did not go that well. Lots to get to. Let's dig a little bit more into it. 30-mile-an-hour winds, mosquitoes, rain, and hail. What happened last night? I am recording this before it's finished, so you'll know by the time I'm sure you're hearing this, but I'm guessing that there were no fights. What an awful, awful gamut it was. 30-mile-an-hour winds, mosquitoes, rain, and hail. The fights probably were rigged to begin with. It was always an embarrassing waste of money, and now you know what happened as a result. Like I said, a federal judge on Friday struck down a last-ditch attempt by the Kennedy Center's board to keep Trump's name on the building, and a lot of Washington folks, including our friend Bill B. in D.C., were down there watching it get taken down. The federal judge refused to halt those UFC Freedom 250 cage fights, despite a lawsuit calling the event a volcano of corruption that will mark the first private for-profit sporting event ever held on the White House grounds. Apparently, the Trump administration, the regime, continues to find new ways to make Vladimir Putin happy. The United States plans to significantly reduce the aircraft and warships that it makes available for NATO operations in Europe, accelerating America's effort to scale down the protection it has offered to European allies for 8 decades. How about this? Remember when he pretended to express sympathy for Iranian dissidents and activists? Well, the Trump regime is preparing to deport nearly 24 people to the Central African Republic on Thursday, including at least 2 Iranian women who had sought refuge in the U.S. The flight is also expected to include migrants from Afghanistan and Syria, would mark the first such deportation to the Central African Republic, a deeply impoverished country that has been plagued by conflict. Apparently, federal authorities are investigating the origin of large writings that spell out 8647 that appeared Thursday on the National Mall lawn. U.S. Park Police responded to a report of vandalism on the west lawn of the Washington Monument, where the numbers 8647 were marked in the grass. You gotta love it. And apparently those renovations at the reflecting pool that were completed last week and that General Fatton praised as beautiful, clean water, it's so beautiful now. Well, he said that under his predecessors, the pool was terrible, disgusting, and garbage-ridden. Well, now days after the pool was refilled, clumps of green algae have been spotted throughout the water because, as everybody predicted that knew anything, painting it would make it hotter, and the temperature of the water going up would create an even better place for algae to form. And more embarrassments for the regime. The Trump mobile T1 phone, originally marketed as made in the USA, is nearly identical to the year-old HTC U24 Pro, a phone made by the Taiwanese company HTC using Chinese parts. According to a technical analysis, the repair guide and parts company iFixit conducted this investigation with NBC News. So, it's just a Chinese phone is all it is, or a Taiwanese phone. There you go. And while our awful, evil president is declaring to make America healthy again, one of his golf courses apparently making patrons sick. New York State health records indicate a Dutchess County health inspector flagged the Trump National Golf Club in Hudson Valley, Hopewell Junction, not too far from me, for a critical violation at its restaurant, according to New York State Department of Health Inspection records from April. Oh, and if you want to make us healthy, maybe screwworm is not a great thing to bring back. Now the number of confirmed screwworm infestations in the U.S. has risen to 12, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And state and federal officials continue efforts to contain the flesh-eating parasite. 11 infestations have been confirmed in Texas, 1 in Mexico. The latest Texas case was identified in a sheep about 135 miles northwest of San Antonio. The detection adds to growing concerns that the parasite is spreading beyond South Texas and into other parts of the state. Screwworm was eradicated from the United States in the 1960s before reappearing in Texas a month after spreading through New Mexico from Central America. Oh, I thought it came from RFK's brain. I thought it was a brain screwworm. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee they're declaring that on day one, if they take back the majority, on day one, Epstein hearings will start. The investigations into Trump's family business, federal workforce cuts, and more. Top oversight Democrat Robert Garcia saying this. Oh, and Mitch McConnell was admitted to the hospital yesterday morning, according to his spokesperson. They didn't provide any details on his conditions. Apparently, he's receiving excellent care, though. So thoughts and prayers. Or not. Those are your headlines from the weekend. Now let's get to those clips I brought you. And let's start with some laughs brought to us by Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, talking about Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire. I'll have something to say about that on Australia's Today Show coming up as well.
Tomorrow, SpaceX will reportedly launch the biggest IPO in history. An IPO is when a private company starts selling shares to the public for the first time. And once SpaceX does that, Elon Musk is expected to become the first ever trillionaire in the history of the world. I'll hold for applause. Okay. And what makes that even more unsettling is that this man, our first trillionaire, the richest man in the world, is also one of the weirdest people we've ever seen on this planet. This obscenely wealthy weirdo has the ability and means to blow up the moon if he chooses, and also to put a lot of other people's money in his pockets. You know, SpaceX, it will enter the stock market so highly valued, a lot of 401ks will get triggered to invest in it automatically. That's how it works, which could be very risky for retirement accounts because SpaceX doesn't make money. It lost $5 billion last year. Typically, public companies that don't make a profit aren't automatically added to your 401k. But SpaceX would be so gigantic at the IPO, the index would just have to take it. And the person who said you don't need to save for retirement because in 10 to 20 years, the robots I sell you will provide everything you need, will be rolling around like a pig in your retirement account. Basically, this maneuver could make Elon a trillionaire and your parents Walmart greeters, okay? Wasn't he supposed to be going to Mars? Can't we chip in to help speed that up? It's $1 trillion. It's hard for our brains to conceptualize that. I mean, we know a trillion is a number, but it's so large. The same way we can't fathom it. The same way we know, like, Elon has a lot of kids, but we can't fathom him getting laid, right? So let me try to illustrate it. If you tried to count out loud to a trillion, you would be counting until the year 33,736. $1 trillion is 10 billion $100 bills. If you stack them up, the pile would be almost 700 miles high, as tall as 123 Mount Everest. With that kind of money, Elon could buy every NFL team, all of them, and he'd still have $773 billion left, which he could use to buy all 30 Major League Baseball teams, every NBA team, every Wendy's, every Target store, the Beatles' entire music catalog. He could buy Nike, Macy's, and every Hyundai Elantra ever produced, and would still have $260 billion, $50 million left over. Elon Musk came to the United States from South Africa in 1995, the son of a humble emerald mine owner. And he is so grateful to this country that allowed him to become a trillionaire. Tesla paid almost no federal income tax over the past 3 years. You know, for a guy who has been openly cheering immigrants getting kicked out of the country for stealing from us, sure seems like an immigrant who's been stealing from us to me. Now,
all right, there you go, Kimmel. So good. And also, let's listen to my appearance on the Today Show. About 4 minutes here. This was Friday night, and I had a lot to say. It wasn't the best appearance, but it was good. It was pretty good. I got to shit on Elon Musk on Australia's Today Show and call him a white supremacist and more.
All right. Well, imagine having more money than the U.S. government. That is the reality for Elon Musk this morning after he became the world's first trillionaire.
To put that into perspective, because I think we all need the perspective, that is like being a millionaire 1 million times over, Ali, or a billionaire 1,000 times over.
It's a stupid amount of money is what I'm hearing.
For more, and to put it into more perspective for us, let's bring in US commentator Peter Dominic in New York. Pete, $1 trillion.
Expensive.
End billionaires and start trillionaires. Is that where we're... Shouldn't you even be allowed to be a trillionaire, Pete?
No, absolutely not. It's disgusting. It's grotesque. Mike, Allie, great to be here. Thank you for having me. This is a horrible, horrible milestone.
But he worked hard.
Yeah.
Doesn't he deserve it?
Does he deserve it?
He did not work hard. He is a Nepo baby. Both of you worked harder today than he has ever worked. And this is not about hating success. This is about a broken economic system. His net worth of $1 trillion, 5 million times is the median American household. 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And this jerk, he's a horrible, horrible person. His personal conduct alone weren't bad enough. He might be responsible for the death of millions of people because he destroyed America's foreign aid system, which helped millions of kids, guys. He's a terrible person, and he's the loneliest loser.
You know what I love about talking to you, Pete Dominic, is you never get editorial, ever.
No, we don't know where you sit on this one.
Yeah, we're not really sure.
None of this is my opinion, guys. These are facts.
Now, we know Elon loves his old mate and your great friend, Donald Trump. Can you see him using this money now against the president or maybe to help the president?
Well, he arguably helped him get elected. I mean, he's his own nation state. He spent $290 million to help Trump get elected. And Elon Musk, by the way, might be the second most hated man in the world. I mean, it is beyond sickening for one person to have this much wealth. I mean, he pays a lower effective tax rate than truck drivers, teachers, firefighters, nurses. The solution, obviously, is to tax the rich all over the world. But watching people cheer, some people cheer for this, like as a good thing, is like watching people cheer a plane crash, guys. This is not a good thing. This is bad for everybody.
I would be curious to be a fly on the wall of the Oval Office because Donald Trump loves money. But I reckon a tiny part of him might be a little bit envious. What do you reckon, Pete?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only thing that he cares about is people's net worth. It's the only thing he cares about. And then trying to get revenge upon them. But he'll use Elon Musk as much as he can. They've been using each other. They both like to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. So they have a lot in common, guys.
What would you spend $1 trillion on, Pete?
I would give it all away. All of it. I would spend it on... I would hire a team of people to give it away. No one should have that kind of wealth. We should never be able to. That'd be like having one tree that's so much taller than all the rest of the trees, or one wolf eating all of the pizza. I could keep going with these analogies, guys, but it is absolutely unnatural for this to happen. And, we should give it all away. And when people are starving in the world and this guy, this Nepo baby, this white supremacist has $1 trillion, I think something's wrong.
Well, Pete, very bipartisan of you this morning, Pete Dominic.
Thanks for sitting on the fence for us.
Thanks for putting in perspective. Thank you. And billionaires.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope I didn't upset anybody. There. Okay, let's move on to Mayor Mamdani in New York City. The Knicks won because of the Muslim mayor. That's what I believe.
Woo! What time did you go to bed? 1:30. They tried to keep me out. 3:45. Oh, my God. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we've been waiting for this moment for 53 years. And 1999, last time we were in the finals, Rick Brunson was on that team. To have his son be Captain Clutch, bring us this championship, what a moment. We've been waiting for this for 53 years, and it just feels like the entire city is alive. The biggest city in the country feels like the smallest town in the world. And it's hard to put it into words of what this means, but truly, your T-shirt, this jersey, that hat, everybody's feeling the same way.
What about Thursday? Can you talk a little bit more about the parade, how you're feeling, what we all should expect?
Thursday, as we know, it's going to be the first ticker tape parade in New York Knicks history. And it is a chance for this entire city to celebrate this team that has given us so much. We're going to have a ceremony at City Hall. We're going to be presenting our administration's first keys to the city, to the team. We're going to be releasing additional details in the days to come.
What's your word to the knuckleheads last night?
You know, look, the vast majority of New Yorkers celebrated responsibly. They've been waiting their entire lives for this. There were a few New Yorkers who did not do so. They behaved in a way that was unacceptable. And we've said time and again, as excited as we are, there's no tolerance for attacks. There's no tolerance for harassment or violence, whether it's towards police officers or anyone else. And I'm thankful to the men and women of the NYPD for keeping our city safe.
Thanks, guys. We got to get going. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. I love it. Love that guy. It's been great. Everybody celebrated in New York. It's been mostly amazing. So, all right, let's get to our friend comedian Jason Solomon looking back at last week on another weird week.
This week, the president took a break from crashing the economy to crashing NBA Finals game, where they had to shut down nearby watch parties due to his strict no poor person perimeter rule. He disrupted the city that never sleeps to take the world's most expensive nap, got booed so much it felt like the building was haunted, and then kept complaining about all the DEI on the court. He left so much bad mojo, they had to bring in both the Wu-Tang Clan and Taylor Swift just to talent sage the building back to normal. Meanwhile, he's prepping his front lawn testosterone bounce house for this weekend's fight while his minions test their theory of a World Cup, but without the world. Harassing players, denying entry to coaches, and sending refs back to Africa. We're 100 days into a 2-week war. We've had 30-plus fake deals, hundreds of civilian casualties, 25 times the strait was declared open, and I bet more than they're telling us fallen and wounded troops. We were told it was to prevent a nuclear weapon, but it's mostly been used as an insider trading casino to help keep reports of files about young girls and their predators out of the headlines. Maybe we had a chopper shot down, and maybe they just needed an excuse to start bombing. The same week we learned they used the Situation Room to plot out how to keep those files from being released. Yeah, the same room Obama used to kill bin Laden, they used to kill victim depositions. While Russia's invasion of Ukraine is now longer than World War I, Hegseth used his D-Day speech to warn of the real threats to Europe: asylum seekers. President, who looks like the only exercise he gets is walking out of interviews, also understands elections about as well as he handles questions from women. While children and pregnant women got food assistance taken away, the SEC waived its rules, so Americans will now have to own SpaceX stock. Jared and Ivanka are trying to buy a nuclear bunker island in Albania, and private ballroom donors had investigations dropped and got billions in government contracts. If you prefer that in metaphor, the reflecting pool he just tried to fix now has such a bad algae problem, looks like a literal swamp. Turns out that fly sterilizing project that Doge called waste and fraud would have been helpful to keep screwworms from driving up beef prices. The GOP voted to give billions to Stephen Miller's private prison system and a bunch of dudes who assaulted cops to please a president who loves inflation and Mike Johnson, who wants to cut your Social Security. On the flip side, the speaker has had more discharges than the legalese part of a drug commercial, kicking people off a SNAP, fudging data on ICE detention deaths, and asking the EPA to tweak chemical safety numbers. And still, their priority is making it harder for you to vote, because they know the tide is turning. Congress voted for Ukrainian aid, Russian sanctions, and against spying on U.S. citizens. America's doctors just voted to go to war with RFK. It turns out LA is well equipped to call the bluff of a reality TV personality. So keep pushing and keep voting, because if it didn't make a difference, they wouldn't be trying so hard to stop you. Have a good weekend. Stay ornery.
Stay ornery. Love it. Okay, Jason Solomon, go follow him on Instagram. So good. And now let's get to CNN's Nick Robertson kind of unpacking whatever might or might not be an Iran deal. And then we'll hear from President Obama right after that from a few weeks back.
Let's take a cold, hard reality check here. It has taken 60 days plus since the ceasefire came into existence at the beginning of April to get to this point. To get to a point where two out of the mediators and one of the sides can say that there is an agreement. The other side seems to be slipping in that direction. On the simplest of things, to say we can open the Strait of Hormuz, let's see how that works. But the really hard stuff, the technical detail of, how much of that 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium is Iran willing to see shipped off of its soil? How much is it going to demand to dilute itself? How much in what it considers war reparations and damages and frozen assets is it going to insist on having? What's going to be the situation going forward? What's going to be the precise language around Iran's commitment not to pursue nuclear weapons in the future? What sort of timeline is there going to be on it? And one very, very senior diplomat in the Middle East talking about this issue told me, I don't care what happens to the highly enriched uranium as long as it's diluted or removed. And I don't care about what Iran says about its willingness or not to pursue a nuclear weapon. What I want, this very senior diplomat said, is a long-term, never-ending international inspection of whatever Iran is doing in the nuclear field. These kind of things, to negotiate this out in 60 days, I think that is somewhat dreaming. It's an aspiration to make a ceasefire hold and work. There's a lot to be done in those 60 days. It's going to be beyond tough.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Whatever happens is not going to be nearly as good as what Obama got. Everybody is already saying that. And here he is a few weeks ago on ABC with, I think, Robin Roberts.
You spent a lot of time wrestling with the threat of a nuclear Iran. How do you think things are being handled right now there?
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place and had worked for a long stretch of time before the United States pulled out of it. So I'm hopeful that bombing stops and ordinary people are no longer suffering as a consequence of the war. And then in retrospect, it's a reminder that on a lot of difficult foreign policy problems, the notion that we can just bully our way or bomb our way to solutions may sometimes seem appealing, but the fact of the matter is that taking the time to explore diplomacy and exhaust the possibilities of coming up with deals that don't solve 100% of the problem, but solve 80, 90% of the problem, while avoiding the necessity of going to war. You'd think we would have learned that lesson by now, but it seems like every so often we have to relearn that lesson again.
Yeah, well, especially with this guy. All right, let's listen to Hakeem Jeffries. He is the majority leader for Democrats in the House, maybe the next House Speaker, maybe not. Here he is on Meet the Press this weekend.
We actually had an agreement that was executed and led by President Barack Obama to constrain Iran's nuclear program. It was Donald Trump who made the decision to actually rip that agreement up because apparently he suffers from Obama derangement syndrome. That agreement that had been reached by President Obama actually resulted in Great Britain, France, Germany, South Korea, India, Japan, and thanks to the leadership from President Obama and his administration, China and Russia all engaged with Iran to limit their nuclear aspirations. Donald Trump then enters us into this reckless and costly war of choice. And the question that the American people are understandably asking is, how has this in any way made things better? Gas prices are through the roof. Iran is stronger now, not weaker, and the American people are less safe.
Yeah, good stuff. Even though he is probably not the best, he's pretty good at talking a lot of times, I think, on television and elsewhere. All right, let's listen to a guy who's not. It's Mark Mullen. He was on CNN where Casey Hunt asked him about whether or not they would be employing voter intimidation. He knew exactly what she meant. Here's what he had to say.
Briefly, at your hearing recently, you didn't rule out sending ICE agents to the polls in the midterms. Are you willing to rule out sending ICE agents to the polls?
No, what I said is that we would only be there if a threat is arise.
So you're not ruling it out here
No,
today.
keep in mind, why would ICE be there? Because the only people who should be voting there is American citizens. There shouldn't be any immigration enforcement. So this should be a mute deal for any Democrat.
Why would there be a circumstance where you would need ICE agents?
Keep in mind, ICE agents are there to flex if we need to. So you saw ICE at TSA lines, not processing, but in the soft areas. If a threat were to arise, for whatever reason, at a polling station, say a bomb threat would be called in, Our ICE agents are more than just immigration custom enforcement. They're also trained to have SRT, which means that we can have an emergency team respond quickly. The only reason why we would be there is not for voter identification.
Yeah.
It would be because a law enforcement is needed, and the local law enforcement would be part of that conversation. So we wouldn't show up on our own. We would be getting asked to show up.
All right.
But not for immigration purposes, because, as I said, the only people that should be in line are American citizens, so there should be no reason to have any type of that.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll see if there'll be any reason or not, right, Mark Wayne? All right, let's get to the Canadian Prime Minister. I always like to play clips of him when I find them. Mark Carney doing a little Trump impression, telling a little story here.
A brief story to let me tell you a brief story to put this honor in context. About a year and a half ago, a little less than that, another great leader, Kahirlok, gave me a gift. And he said, Mark, this is very special. This is unique. And it's a key. It's a key to the White House. It's a key to the White House, Mark. No one else has it. I found it. It wasn't really true. No one else has it. You have the key to the White House. I was touched. I said, Mr. President, what does it do? And he said, well, they'll either let you in or they'll shoot you. They'll probably shoot you. With this honor, I know that every door in Mayo will be opened at any time. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, wouldn't it be nice if we had a leader like that? We used to, but not so much. Maybe someday. All right, finally, let's get to some more comedy. I like to start and end with jokes whenever possible. Let's go to Seth Meyers from Friday night on Late Night with Seth Meyers on NBC.
Well, and now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. President Trump is set on Sunday to celebrate his 80th birthday with a UFC fight on the White House lawn. I don't know what the hell you guys did, but you have to go back and fix this. That's right. President Trump is set on Sunday to celebrate his 80th birthday, but unlike other 80-year-olds, he doesn't like to remind you how much things used to cost. President Trump threatened today in a post on Truth Social to seize Iran's Karg Island oil export hub. And man, if you ever want to sound like a supervillain, a great way to do that is to threaten to seize Karg Island. Sounds like the line they make you read when you audition to be the voice of Skeletor. I will seize Karg Island. Was that good? Was that good? Should I do it again? President Trump, thank you. President Trump announced in a post on Truth Social today that he has canceled scheduled strikes on Iran due to ongoing peace talks and added that the time and place of a signing ceremony will be announced shortly. Okay, so last night you said you were going to bomb them. This afternoon you said you were going to invade and seize Karg Island. And now you're announcing a peace deal? You're like the boy who cried wolf if he also cried every other animal. Wolf, giraffe, platypus. President Trump, in a post yesterday on Truth Social, asked Congress for an additional $350 billion in military funding to use in part to, quote, defend the homeland with the Golden Dome. Dude, okay, you got the part. We must defend the homeland with the Golden Dome. Yes. You'll be mine soon, Karg Island. First Lady Melania Trump hosted an event at the Treasury Department today to celebrate the launch of a new initiative that provides foster children with savings and investment accounts so that, God willing, none of them will ever have to marry for money. A California estate. What? A California estate that served as a filming location for the 1980s soap opera Dynasty was recently listed for $45 million, which includes a tennis court, greenhouse, and reflecting pool. Though if you're old enough to remember Dynasty, maybe stay off the tennis court? A 7-year-old in Pennsylvania recently set a Guinness World Record after putting on 50 sweaters because his dad made it very clear what would happen if he touched the thermostat. Finally, the congressional baseball game was won last night by the Republicans, who defeated the Democrats 11-2. And I'm not saying they cheated, but I'm pretty sure there's no Senator Otani from South Dakota.
All right, that is it, and that is all I've got for you today. But tomorrow, we'll get back after it with some great guests, and all week, let me know who you want to hear on the show, you bumblebees. I especially listen to you. Email me, standupwithpete@gmail.com. Send me your vitamin, and have a great Monday, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much. Be the change you want to see in the world. Bye-bye. John Carroll, take us away.
When the tyrants taunt you and the sirens teach you, better stand up. Stand up. Let the brave meet the challenge. Let the weak flee. Oh, you better stand up. Stand up. When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up on your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels with leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. You got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear and all you hear is a lie. So get up off of your butt, down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense and you stand up. Stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up. Stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Oh, you better stand up. Stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up. Stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up. They had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of a stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We got to let him know it's his time to go and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. All right. We got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell